everyone, Kareem Ray here. Today we have Mr. Don with us, a special guest. He's with Sports Recruiting USA. Mr. Don, how's it going?
It's going good, Kareem. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, how did Sports Recruiting USA come about?
Well, my partner, Chris Cousins, lives in England. He had come over to the United States to play college soccer. So when he went back home, one of his buddies was with some other company that was supposed to be promoting him and helping him come over. And his buddy said, "Look, I'm just not getting any traction. Can you help me since you figured it out on your own?" And so he did. He actually got his buddy placed in college. And when that guy graduated, then they decided together that they could do a better job placing kids, that they would focus on quality over quantity. And they started out helping 50 kids a year come over to the United States. And so I was a college coach at the time. This was 2010. And I was a college coach. And I was recruiting players from all over the world, including internationals. And I ended up grabbing a few of Chris's kids. So we got to know each other. I think I took one or two of his boys and three of his girls. And when he saw that I took care of the kids and pushed them on to the next level and found homes for them at the 4-year level, that was a junior college I was at. When I retired from college coaching after 22 years, Chris said, "Will you come? And we'll form a partnership together." So I took over the Americas. So my responsibility is everything from Argentina to Canada, and then all the islands. And then he takes care of Europe and Asia, and we're into Dubai. And so now we've got former college coaches from all over the United States. We've even got some former college coaches that now live in Mexico. And so we've got about 100 scouts all over the world. And we help about 500 kids
a year.
Go into college soccer between the boys and the girls, and placing them at whatever is the right fit for them. Our job's not to put a kid at Stanford or UCLA. Our job is to find the right fit for the kid. And we do have boys at Indiana. We've got girls at Florida State and everything in between. So we do place kids at the top level. Yeah. Usually those are national team level players, right? I think we've got eight girls that are in the national team system, the youth national team system in England. We've got some kids that are in the national team system in Canada and other countries. So, and then here in the United States, most of our players, a vast majority, right? 90-something percent, the vast majority are good soccer players, but they're probably not going to be professional. Probably are missing a piece, right? So that 0.7% of those kids usually aren't the kids we're handling. It's usually the kids that fall somewhere below that in the system, and it can be easy to get lost because there's 1,600 women's teams in this country, and there's 1,300 men's teams in this country, and these families go scratching their head trying to figure out how to navigate the system, how to get in front of the right coach at the right time. What is the right time? What should my video look like? What should I be saying? What shouldn't I be saying? What questions should I be asking college coaches? And so those are all questions that revolve around the education of what college soccer really is. And then with us, for the elite few that have proven themselves. So we just had one of our lads from Western Michigan get drafted by Toronto.
I see.
Okay. Yeah. So MLS draft. Yeah. So he was drafted in, I think, the 3rd round. And so for those kids, then we can advise and help them start to figure out what's next. So it's really, I call it career path management. What's the end goal? If my end goal is to play pro, it's great. But some kids, their end goal is to be an engineer. And in other kids, it's to be a doctor. And others kids, so, try to find the right school and the right environment at the right price. Money becomes an issue for a lot of kids, or I can't afford college. And so our job is to show them how they can afford college, or what colleges they can afford, right? Yep. At least they get a degree. and at least they have something else go on. So that's the genesis of the company and kind of what our mission is. It's our motto is the right fit for every kid.
Yeah, that's amazing. Of course, everyone wants to go pro, but then after that, you have the opportunity at least to go to college or university and get a career that way, of course. With saying that, the first question I probably should have asked you is, how did you get involved in the beautiful game? And if you could share a little bit about yourself as well, please.
Yeah, so I think I played baseball when I was like 7 or 8, and I hated it. I was scared of the ball, man. I would get hit by the ball. And these pitchers had no control, right? Didn't like baseball. It's too slow. Found soccer the next year, and then it just kind of stuck with me. Became a goalkeeper, so that when I started coaching later on in my 30s, like mid-20s, I started coaching your kids like most people do. Go through the licenses, right, and start coaching, getting higher level licenses, and eventually got my A license and short stint coaching pro. My world was goalkeepers. That's how I broke into college, and that's how I broke into the pro game, was coaching goalkeepers. And so I think it was at probably my B license in Arizona, and I met a pro player named Troy Dyack. He used to play for the Earthquakes, and he played in the Olympics for the U.S. And Troy was part of a new team called the Bay Area Seals, and so they invited me on staff to do their goalkeepers. So careers just soccer careers, usually you can't plan them very well, because you can't plan for getting fired. You can't plan for somebody asking you to join their staff at maybe a different level or something. You can't plan for it. You just have to go out and work really hard and let it happen. So my journey just went from youth to high school to college to pro to back to college, and then stayed with college for, it's been about 3 years, something like that.
Amazing. Are you still in college right now?
No. So in 2018, I hung up the coaching boots after 22 years, and so this is all I focus on is Sports Recruiting USA and helping kids find the right fit in college full time.
Understood. Yeah. With saying that, so do you just only focus on the U.S. Landscape, or do you also tap into other markets, or do you leave that to your team and you just focus on USA? I just want a little bit more clarity on that.
Yeah, so I'm Director of Operations for the Americas. So we've got a staff of about 100 that's scouring the ground today at events, and we've got staff in Africa. We have staff in South America. We have staff in Central America. So all throughout Latin America, and then all throughout Canada, U.S., Dubai, England, Scotland, Ireland. So we have players that come in virtually from all over the world, and then we're trying to help them find the right fit.
Yeah, that's truly amazing. With the 100 scouts, do you guys have them on contracts, or how does that work?
Scouts are paid on a commission basis when the kids actually sign with us. Okay, so then they get a piece. We don't have any full-time staff, including my partner and myself. It's all production based, but the hard part is it's quality over quantity. So you cannot, if you've got the money right now and you're not a very good soccer player, you cannot come into the agency. It's an invite-only agency. So we have to do our work first. We have to, show me the film that's exciting to make me want to go see you. And then we have to travel to see you. And then we have to assess you. And then we have to discuss with you and your family what your end goals are. And we've got to do our research into what your grades are and what you want to accomplish and what your end goals are. And it's only when we go, I'm 100% certain that I can give you 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 different options throughout the country that will help you reach your goal. Now you as a family get to make that choice. Not with the families. Look, I've talked to families that go, it takes me 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours to do all of this work, and we're spending tens of thousands of dollars a year traveling to this event and that event and this, trying to do it myself. So you can do it yourself. I've taken off a roof before. Kareem, I'll never do it again. It's a lot of hard work. My father-in-law broke his ankle falling off the roof. It's something that's worth paying somebody to do for me, an expert, right? They can do it faster, more efficiently, and it's worth it. So for some families, they want that expert help. They want somebody to hold their hand, to guide them, to tell them, I wouldn't play for that coach. It's not best for you. Will be good for another kid, but not for you. This one over here is more suited to your personality and what you're looking for. And this coach you'll thrive under. This coach you may feel like you're under their thumb a little bit. And some kids like to be sat on. Some kids like to be pushed, not physically, and then other kids need to just be guided and directed. And that's part of our job, is to get to know the kids, get to know the families, so that you're making the right choice, so we don't contribute to the clogging up of the transfer portal, which is, there's somewhere around 8,000 kids, not just in the portal, but between junior college, NAIA, Division I, Division II, and Division III, men and women, about 8,000 to 10,000 kids a year are trying to transfer. Right? Some of it is for financial reasons, and some kids needed to move home, and so there's that stuff that's a little more uncontrollable. And then some of it's, I was so good. I was an All-American. We just saw all the Americans parading by, right? And I was an All-American, and now I want to take my shot at something higher. That happens. Or I'm in over my head. I figured I'd be able to do it, but I can clearly see I'm not at the caliber of the starters. I'm probably not playing here. I want to go somewhere where I can play, right? So when you find the right fit, you're less likely to transfer onto something else. Because it's traumatic, isn't it? Transferring's traumatic. The mom and dad are not happy. The kid's not happy. The coach isn't happy. The assistant coach isn't happy. The athletic directors aren't happy. That's 5 times 10,000. You got 50,000 unhappy people because this didn't work out. And a lot of it's because the kids don't have guidance. They have nobody to guide and direct them and help them, and somebody who's been there and knows the landscape and knows exactly how it works and where to go. Sometimes families can benefit from that guidance, right?
100%. I think that guidance is very important. I always say, trying to go pro, I wish I had more guidance, more information, access to information, or would have been told, or, maybe, don't go to England, save your money and resources, and, maybe go to college or university, or, just, I wish I had access to certain information that we have in abundance now with YouTube, different social media platforms, right. Platforms like Sporting Recruiting USA, so on and so forth. With saying that, so do you guys only help with the process of getting the player into the college and university, and then you guys assist further on the process until they graduate, and with transfers, or do you guys just help with just getting them in?
Well, there's two answers to that question. The first answer is we obey the NCAA rules. So the NCAA is very clear that once you place a kid in college as an agency, the contract between you and them is terminated. So if you've got that, then in your contract, which it is in ours, then that's clear cut. Then we've got the moral and ethical piece of the puzzle that, look, you can call me anytime. There's nothing illegal about this, and ask my advice. And that happens all the time, every year. So the kid will go away to college. At the end of every college season, they have these debriefing meetings with the coaching staff and the players. How'd it go? How's your grades going? You settling in all right? What do you want to work on? What are your goals? This is what we think you need to work, that kind of stuff, right? And players want to know, what's going to happen in that meeting, or what questions are likely to be asked before they get in there, so they can mentally and emotionally prepare. They've never been in one before, right? Yep. You can ask your teammates, but it's not the same. So a lot of times they'll call us and ask us, or they'll say, should I talk about transferring? I've been thinking about it, and we'll advise them and give them the pros and the cons so they can weigh. So we call it pastoral care. So I can't do agency handling, but I can do pastoral care as a friend.
What is that?
Which means that it's actually an English term, right? We don't use that here in the United States very much. But pastoral care means looking after you, right? Like a pastor would look after their flock. So looking after you, being there to answer questions, so we can provide that friendship and that help to them, and we do. We say SRUSA family, and we really mean it. I tell every parent that we will treat you like we would treat our own kids, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yes. So you've been in this landscape for quite a while. What are 3 patterns that you could share with us that you've seen throughout the time that stay consistent? Yeah.
As far as kids being in college and going into college and the common problems and patterns, you mean?
Yeah.
First thing is that look, it's no different than dating. It's always nice when somebody likes you. Oh, they like me, and I think I kind of like them, right? But it doesn't mean that you're ready to get married that day.
Yeah, very true.
And these kids are getting married for 4 years. They're jumping into relationships before they've fully vetted out those relationships. So I always encourage players not to slow down the process of contacting coaches or reaching out, but slow down the process of thinking you have to panic and commit at the first person who says, I like you. Right? Because I think it's a human nature to think that maybe nobody else will like me again. Maybe this is my one chance and I don't want to blow it.
What about the urgency that you get from schools?
That can be managed. And urgency of, I'm going to give you an $80,000 a year scholarship and you have a week to decide is different than the urgency of, I'll give you a roster spot and you got a week to decide and there's no money tied to it. How serious are you if there's no money? If I can give money, right? If I'm not a Division III school that can't give money, but if I can give money and I have money, then how serious am I? I don't know. So as coaches, we are salesmen. We're trying to sell our school and our product. And one of the sales tools that's often used is called sense of urgency. So how much of that is a real I have to know? Well, if it's in April, it's probably pretty real. Coach has got to have his roster in. But if it's August of your junior year, how real is the sense of urgency? Well, it depends on the school. If it's Stanford, it might be a very real sense of urgency. If it's Northwest Central Alaskan State, it's probably not a big urgency, right? They're probably going to be still looking for players when you're graduated from high school. They'd probably still take you. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. This is kind of like an off-topic question that came to mind. There's a player that I interviewed. Shout out to CJ Smith. He plays for FC Edmonton in the CPL, the Canadian Premier League. He transferred schools 4 different times to 4 different schools. Okay. I didn't know this was possible to do that, 1, and 2, still be able to sign pro after changing schools 4 times. Can you please provide me with some more context so I could wrap my head around in regards to understanding that? Like, how was that even possible to do? And not even possible is, is that something that usually happens, or is that a rare situation?
Well, the first thing we want everybody to know is that NCAA Division I men's soccer has a rules committee. NCAA Division I women's soccer has a rules committee. NCAA Division I soccer rules are not the same for the men's and the women's. Different rules about, and not the rules in the sense of we think of soccer rules, not, one doesn't do kick-ins and the other does throw-ins. We're talking about the rules and the regulations of about when you're allowed to go out to recruit, or how transfers work, or, Division II, same thing. 2 different rules committee. Division III, there's 6 different rules. NAIA, junior college, California junior colleges, NWAC, the Northwestern community colleges, Seattle, Oregon, and Washington. All different rules. And none of them care what the other one is doing, nor should they, right? Ford really shouldn't care what Pepsi is doing, because Ford has nothing to do with Pepsi. A junior college kid has got different needs than a kid who's going to Duke, right? So it's a kid. I could see a kid transferring from one junior college to the next. That's one. I could see a kid then going into Division III. That's two. I could see the kid maybe then going to a Division I school. That's three.